In a quiet corner of a beautiful home, a tiny baby lay peacefully wrapped in a soft blue blanket. Beside him, 5 little puppies watched over with curious eyes, their golden fur glowing under the morning light. But what no one knew was that danger was quietly approaching. The baby's nanny, known for her careless attitude, had just stormed out of the house, leaving the baby all alone. Her perfume still lingered in the air as she grabbed her bag and slammed the door behind her. She didn't care about the baby's cries or the soft whimpers of the puppies who watched helplessly. All she wanted was her shopping trip, her fun, her day out. But fate had different plans that morning. Minutes passed. The room fell silent. Then, a faint sound broke the calm, a small cough from the baby's crib. The puppy's ears perked up instantly. One moved closer, sniffing gently, as if to check if the baby was okay. Another puppy barked softly, as though calling for help. But no one came. So those tiny paws decided to do what humans had failed to do: protect. Their little hearts beat fast, their eyes full of worry and courage. What happened next would melt the world's heart. Because in that quiet room, something extraordinary was about to happen. A bond of loyalty, love, and bravery, born between a baby and 5 tiny guardians. A moment that proved sometimes angels don't have wings. They have fur. The sun peeked through curtains, warm but strangely quiet. A gentle cry echoed from the soft crib in the corner. The nanny scrolled her phone, ignoring the baby's whimper. 5 little puppies sat nearby, watching with tilted heads. Their tiny tails wagged uncertainly, sensing something off. The baby's eyes fluttered open, searching for comfort. But instead of love, he met an empty, careless stare. The nanny sighed, grabbed her purse, and rolled her eyes. I need a break," she muttered coldly to herself. The puppies whimpered, one pawing at her ankle softly. She brushed them away and marched out without a glance. The door clicked shut. Silence swallowed the entire room. Outside, the faint sound of her car faded into the distance. The baby's lips quivered. His little fists clenched the blanket. The puppies looked at one another, unsure but alert. Something told them their tiny friend needed them now. They surrounded the crib, ears perked, eyes wide open. The air grew still. Only trust and innocence remained. In that moment, 5 small hearts became protectors. The morning of loneliness had just begun. The baby's soft whimper grew into a faint, tired cry. One puppy nudged the crib, trying to comfort him gently. Another barked once, a plea for someone to come. But no footsteps, no voices, no one answered their call. The air felt heavy with fear and tender confusion. A brown puppy jumped onto a chair to peek at the baby. His nose brushed the blanket. The baby quieted slightly. The others gathered close, forming a furry little circle. They didn't understand everything, but they understood love. Their tiny eyes gleamed with worry and courage combined. The baby sneezed. A puppy licked his hand instinctively. It made the infant smile, a soft miracle in silence. The puppies' tails wagged. They felt hope return again. They stayed close, never leaving the baby's side now. Minutes felt like hours, but their loyalty didn't waver. Each bark became softer, almost like a lullaby of care. The room that once felt empty now pulsed with warmth. Even without words, love spoke louder than anything. Those tiny paws had answered the baby's cry for help. A friendship was quietly born in that lonely morning. The house creaked. The sound made the puppies freeze. Outside, clouds began to cover the bright morning sun. A tree branch scraped the window, making eerie noises. The smallest puppy whimpered and hid behind the crib. The baby stirred, frightened by the sudden shadows. One brave pup stood tall, barking toward the window. His bark echoed, strong, defiant, protective in tone. The others joined, tiny growls shaking their little bodies. The sound of loyalty filled every corner of the house. They didn't know what danger was, but they stood guard. A cold breeze slipped through the slightly open window. The baby's blanket fluttered. The puppies rushed closer. One used his mouth to pull the edge back over the baby. They pressed around him, forming a warm wall of fur. The wind howled, but inside, courage grew stronger. Every small heart beat in perfect unison with love. The fear slowly faded, replaced by gentle determination. No monster or shadow could pass those golden protectors. They were tiny, but their bravery glowed like fire. That morning, innocence learned the meaning of strength. A sudden noise from the kitchen made all ears rise. A metal pan clattered. Someone had entered the house. The puppies froze, their eyes darting toward the sound. Footsteps, slow, heavy, unfamiliar, echoed nearby. The baby whimpered, sensing something wasn't right. The leader pup barked sharply, warning whoever was there. Another puppy growled, tiny but fierce in his stance. The sound of the doorknob turning made their first stand. The baby's toy rolled off the table, hitting the floor. The noise startled the intruder. Silence followed. The puppies huddled closer, ready to defend together. Fear mixed with courage in the tiny guardians' hearts. They didn't know what danger meant, but they knew love. Their loyalty burned brighter than their little size. The shadow outside the door slowly stepped away. The house grew still. Their brave stand had worked. The baby gurgled softly, unaware of what just passed. The puppies licked his tiny fingers, soothing his tears. Their bravery had kept him safe once again. They had become heroes before anyone even knew it. Hours later, the nanny returned with shopping bags in hand. She hummed to herself, unaware of what had unfolded. The moment she entered, the puppies barked at her angrily. She frowned, annoyed. "What's wrong with you all now?" But when she looked at the baby, her smile faded fast. Blanket tucked, toys moved. Everything felt changed. It was as if someone had cared for him in her absence. She noticed tiny paw marks beside the baby's crib. Her heart skipped. Realization hit like a quiet storm. These little dogs had done what she should have done. They protected, comforted, and stayed by his side. The nanny's arrogance slowly melted into guilt. Tears welled in her eyes as she knelt beside them. "I'm sorry," she whispered, voice trembling with shame. The puppies wagged their tails softly in forgiveness. The baby smiled, as if he understood the moment. Kindness filled the room where neglect once lived. Sometimes, the purest lessons come from the smallest hearts. That day, even a careless heart learned what love truly means, and the bond between baby and puppies grew unbreakable. The nanny sat quietly, her hands trembling in guilt and awe. She watched the puppies cuddle the baby, guarding his dreams. For the first time, she realized what care truly meant. It wasn't duty. It was love without expecting anything back. One puppy looked up, eyes filled with innocent forgiveness. It broke her heart. Their loyalty outshone her selfishness. She reached out, stroking their soft fur with trembling hands. The baby giggled softly, the sound pure and healing. Her eyes filled with tears. Regret flooded her chest. She whispered, "You were better nannies than I ever was." Those words carried the weight of truth and realization. Outside, sunlight broke through the clouds once again. Warm light touched their faces. Peace filled the room. The puppies wagged their tails, sensing the change in her. The cold heart inside her slowly began to thaw. Love had found its way where ego once lived loud. A small act of loyalty had taught her a lifetime lesson. The world felt new, gentle, and full of second chances. That morning's mistake had turned into a moment of growth. And it all began with 5 little hearts that chose love. The next morning, the nanny woke before the baby did. She prepared his milk with care, humming softly this time. The puppies watched curiously, sensing her gentler mood. She smiled at them, laying out tiny bowls of warm milk. They wagged their tails, trust slowly rebuilt in silence. The baby stretched, cooing softly under his cozy blanket. The nanny lifted him gently, whispering, "Good morning." The word love lingered in her tone, soft but sincere. For the first time, she felt the warmth of motherhood. The puppies circled around, tails sweeping the soft rug. The room glowed with peace, free from neglect or anger. It wasn't just a new day, it was a new beginning. The woman who once cared only for herself now cared deeply. All because 5 tiny hearts had shown her what love is. The past faded like dust, replaced by kindness and care. She promised never to leave them alone again, ever. The baby smiled, as if blessing her quiet promise. Even the wind outside seemed to hum with approval. Sometimes redemption comes not through words, but actions. And hers began with a single act of compassion. Days turned into weeks, the house filled with laughter. The nanny had transformed into someone softer, warmer. She played with the baby and the puppies every morning. The echoes of joy replaced the silence of loneliness. No more empty rooms, no more careless departures. Every corner of the house now held love's gentle energy. She began baking small treats, sharing them with the pups. The baby clapped his tiny hands in delight and wonder. Each smile reminded her how close she came to losing it. But fate had been kind. It gave her one more chance. The puppies had become her little teachers of kindness. They needed nothing but gave everything in return. Her heart healed as the house became a true home. No luxury could replace this kind of peace she found. It wasn't money or freedom. It was love that mattered. She looked at the baby, eyes glistening with gratitude. The sound of his laughter erased all her old pride. Even the sunlight felt brighter than before. That day she knew, love changes everything. And she never wanted to go back to who she was. One afternoon, the baby's parents returned from their trip. They expected the same careless nanny they once trusted. But what they saw left them completely speechless. The nanny was on the floor, laughing with the puppies. The baby sat in her lap, giggling with pure happiness. The golden pups lay cuddled around them like a halo. The parents froze. This wasn't the same woman at all. Tears welled in her eyes as she stood to greet them. She handed the baby over gently, voice trembling softly. "I've learned a lot while you were gone," she whispered. The mother noticed the bond between her and the dogs. It wasn't duty anymore. It was love, deep and honest. The father smiled faintly, realizing something profound. Sometimes people change when innocence touches them. The house that once felt cold now glowed with warmth. The puppies wagged their tails proudly, mission complete. Even the baby reached out to them with soft laughter. The parents hugged the nanny, forgiveness in their eyes. She wept quietly, grateful for this second chance. Love had rewritten her story from selfish to selfless. Love doesn't always arrive with words or promises. Sometimes it comes quietly, in the form of tiny paws. Those 5 little souls never asked for anything back. Yet they gave more care than any adult ever did. They didn't judge, didn't question. They simply loved. Their hearts understood what the world often forgets. That kindness is not a duty, it's a choice. The baby's tears called not for sympathy, but protection. And those small hearts answered without hesitation. They stood guard, they comforted, they healed. In their warmth, the coldest heart began to melt. The nanny learned what no book could ever teach. That love isn't about convenience. It's about sacrifice. A single act of care can rewrite an entire life. She had gone out seeking fun, but found faith instead. Because fate doesn't punish. It teaches through miracles. Every bark that morning was a lesson in loyalty. Every wagging tail whispered forgiveness and hope. The house that once echoed neglect became a temple of love. The baby, in his innocence, had been watched by angels. Not the kind with wings, but with golden fur and pure hearts. They didn't just protect him. They transformed her soul. The cruel became kind. The careless became gentle. Love had taken root where ego once grew wild. And in that home, even silence began to sing again. Because real love doesn't need perfection, only presence. Those 5 little heroes prove that care has no size. Sometimes, the smallest hearts carry the biggest courage. And those who love selflessly are the true guardians of life.